How's it going, everyone? And welcome back to the Eternal Wrestling Podcast, where wrestling is eternal. I'm your host, Jacob, and on this episode, we're going to be talking about AEW Collision. This episode aired on January 10th, and I'm just going to give you the rundown and, of course, my opinion on how things played out over the course of this episode. So, the first match we had was a 6-man tag match, or as AEW likes to call it, a trios match, where the team of Skyflight went against the Death Riders. The Death Riders leader, Jon Moxley, was on commentary during this match. So during this match, Marina Shafir, who accompanied the Death Riders out, and Zeta Steele, who accompanied Skyflight out, these two ladies were kind of getting involved during the match and causing some distractions and almost fighting each other. Eventually, Daniel Garcia, he low-blowed his opponent, and that resulted in his opponent being triple teamed by the Death Riders. He actually gets a submission for the win here. And then Pac, who is part of this team, he looks into the camera and he tells Darby Allin to remember, you asked for this match regarding the beatdown that Darby could receive on next Wednesday's episode of AEW Dynamite's Maximum Carnage. So Zeta Steele, she actually ends up getting attacked by Megan Bayne, who is Marina Shafir's tag team partner, and hits her with a Liger bomb, puts her down, and Jon Moxley, he's really praising Megan Bayne on commentary during this interaction. Next up, we have the Conglomeration's Orange Cassidy, Mark Briscoe, and Roderick Strong. They're backstage, and Roderick Strong, he says, you know what, he's not done with the Death Riders. He's gonna give it to him. He wants some more. And Mark Briscoe says the word of the day is momentum. And then he gears out the camera, and then he runs out of frame, being crazy and silly as he usually is. Next up, we had a very quick match here where Big Bad Brody King, he comes out and he pretty much just squashes his local talent competitor, I believe. He hits his finishing maneuver, the Gonzo Bomb, picks up the win, and his tag team partner, Bandito, who is also the number one contender for the World Championship, comes out to celebrate with Brody. Just a very quick match. Brody just uses power and menacing presence to get the win here. Nothing more that you can say. Next up, we have a backstage segment where Josh Alexander, who is part of the Don Callis family, he's talking into the camera, and behind him is Lance Archer, who's just attacking people left and right, throwing them across the backstage area. And Josh is saying, the TNT title is coming back to the Don Callis family when Hechicero beats Mark Briscoe. And he also says that his friends in the faction, the Demand, will help them out with some of their problems. Next up, we had a match where Clone versus Commander. So this was actually a very interesting encounter. Two great luchadors fighting. Even the fans were shouting, Lucha, Lucha, Lucha. And they ended up fighting on the entrance ramp a little bit. Clone, he had his suplex on Commander. Is also trying to rip at the mask of Commander a bit during this match. Commander is definitely very athletic because he's running along the top rope a couple times, and he's able to change direction and use some flips to the outside to attack Clone. And eventually El Clone, he hits a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker, but then Commander gets a Poison Rana, which is a reverse Hurricane Rana pretty much. There's a lot of many near falls throughout this match. Very entertaining. Definitely kept my eyes on the screen because it seemed like anybody's ball game there for a little bit. And El Clone, he picks up the win. Next up, we have a women's match where Mina Shirakawa is going against Lady Frost. And during her entrance, Mina receives a bouquet of flowers from a mystery secret admirer. And I guess my guess would be maybe this is Orange Cassidy because he's kind of in this weird throuple dynamic here. Kind of hard to say, though. Could be mind games from somebody as well. There's plenty of women on the roster who have negative intentions. Mina, she gets the win here with a submission to make Lady Frost tap out. And I do notice whenever Lady Frost appears on AEW television, she's usually losing. Which, hey, I'm not really familiar with her character. She just seems to pop up sporadically and just kind of do the job for whoever needs a win. Next up, we have a vignette with Mercedes Moné. Her hair is all crazy. It looks like she's got cake icing just caked in her hair. It looks like she's been crying. She's just on her knees looking into a mirror, very distraught, kind of dark vibes going on. And she says that she was the greatest and longest reigning TBS champion and that she's going to take a break from AEW. So we can all miss her and appreciate what she brought to AEW, and that when she returns, she's going to be collecting more than titles. Now with this, she had a great reign as TBS champion, a lot of very exciting matches, and she was calling herself Ultima Monet, the CEO. She was also like being a belt collector there for a while. I think she collected like 13 or 14 belts from various promotions, not just AEW. For those of you who are not familiar, and she's just putting in the time and the work. I think she deserves a much needed break, whether that's a month or two or maybe even longer, because you don't want to overwork and cause yourself to have an injury. But with her stepping away can allow more talent to be elevated and put into like main event scenarios or just get some really substantial wins going forward. Next up, we had the TNT Championship match, where the luchador Hechicero is going against the champion Mark Briscoe. And during this match, Hechicero, he's really focusing on submission maneuvers and attacking the joints of Mark, and he's just really slowing the pace down and really making Mark work for a way to get out of the submission or just getting a rope break. Over the course of the match, Mark is pretty much down to just using his left arm, since his right arm has been targeted so much and his shoulder's been attacked. And eventually Mark, he's able to set up a chair, and he goes running across the ring, jumps off the chair, and goes flying into Hechicero, who is standing outside the ring. And I will say over the course of this match, Hechicero, it looked like he might win. And he probably could have if he meets Mark again, depending on the circumstances, and if Mark is still beaten down or like recovering from the fatigue and past matches, he could become the new TNT champion. So Mark's wins the match, and out comes Orange Cassidy and Roderick Strong to congratulate him on his victory. Very well earned here. I was actually very impressed with Hechicero, and I felt like if he got a championship win, it'd help elevate him within his, not only being like his own character, but elevate him within like the Don Callis family, since it's so big, 15 to 20 members now, and maybe just having a championship would help differentiate him a little bit more, give him some more screen time than others within that faction. Next up, we had a backstage interview where the Grizzled Young Veterans, that tag team, is talking to Eddie Kingston and Ortiz, telling Eddie that we don't really like how you handle business. So they kind of like want to fight Eddie and take him out and like knock him down a peg. And Eddie's just always off the cuff, like he does not care what he says, and that's going to be an interesting tag team match going forward. Next up, we had a 6-woman tag team match, or trios match, however you want to call it. Maya and Haya World with their tag team partner, Vert Vixen, who I have not seen before, to my knowledge, against the Babes of Wrath, Willow Nightingale and Harley Cameron, and the Women's World Champion, Chris Statlander. The Babes of Wrath and Chris, they worked very well throughout this match, definitely using double team maneuvers to attack their opponents, and eventually the match is won by Chris Statlander hitting her finishing maneuver, the Saturday Night Fever, to get the pinfall victory. And then Thekla of the Triangle of Madness faction, she's standing up on top of the announcer's table, interrupting after the match and questioning, why do you people love these champions? And at Maximum Carnage, you're going to learn what it means to get toxic, since she's referred to the toxic spider, and she's always bringing up toxic. Sometimes it seems a little corny, but hey, sometimes people just need a gimmick. Chris Statlander, she fires back and she says, next week, you're going to call me the Big Stat Daddy after I whoop you. That was pretty interesting. Definitely funny comedy there from Chris Statlander. We didn't have a promo from Don Callis, as he is like in Japan, because he was supporting Takeshita, his match with the New Japan Pro Wrestling, and Okada as well. He just says that Okada slayed the ace. Kyle Fletcher appears and he says, somebody needs to talk to Okada because he stole my screwdriver, and he's visibly upset about this because that affected him not winning in the Continental Classic. And Don, he's just trying to like redirect Kyle and say, hey, I didn't even want you in that tournament, and how about you get back to focusing on the TNT title? I understand Mark Briscoe got one on you, but it's okay. How about you redirect your focus back on the TNT title, and it's all going to be all right. Kyle looks super pissed about this, and you can easily tell his feelings are not being heard here, and that makes a second faction member not happy with Okada. So Takeshita and Kyle Fletcher both unhappy with Okada, adding some more seasoning into this heated situation going on within the Don Callis family dynamic. Then we had the faction, the Demand, against Jet Speed, who are tagging with Anthony Bowens. Another trios 6-man tag match. And then we get a little video package of Bandito before the match starts saying that he's going to become the next world champion after he defeats MJF next week. Back to the match. The Demand is attacking Jet Speed. And this is before Anthony Bowens can even make his entrance to the ring. The team of Jet Speed and Bowens, they throw up their fingers in like a scissoring maneuver, and they interlock fingers. The crowd goes wild. Speedball Mike Bailey, his shoulder has like that is like all taped up because he got that beat down from the Demand earlier on in the week. And I was actually happy to see that the Demand gets the win here with Ricochet being part of it. Anthony Bowens, he's beaten down after the match, and his former tag team partner, Max Caster, walks out and he helps Bowens. Then the Don Callis family comes out and they attack Jet Speed. And then the conglomeration comes out and everyone is brawling, fighting. The Don Callis family eventually gets Rain out of the ring. Could this mean there's a possible claimed tag team reunion on the horizon? I was about to say, I'm really glad the Demand won here with Ricochet and the Gates of Agony making up that faction, because Ricochet is the national champion and you don't want one of your champions losing all the time. It's going to make them look weak and possibly even make the title seem a little bit less than. With this big brawl happening, it could lead to a massive tag team match. Tony Khan does not shy away from booking very large tag team matches, sometimes calling them an all-star tag team match. Overall, looking at this episode and the matches and how they were lined up on the card, I am very unsure why the TNT title match was not the main event, as it was the strongest match on the card next to El Clone's match with Commander. I'm glad to see some more issues were developing within the Don Callis family. Tensions are growing towards Okada. But story-wise, it didn't feel like a lot was happening here. Just mainly more wrestling focused, which is perfectly fine. Not every episode needs to be some grand Odyssey, Homer epic that is just mind-blowing for, 2-3 hours, whatever. And we got 6 matches in 2 hours, and I don't think that's too bad here. Sometimes it seems that Collision is missing that star power and main eventers that Dynamite tends to have, and I just think that Collision could benefit if it had some more main event or just more high profile talent on the show from time to time. I don't feel like we need a brand split, but like I said, having those high profile names could definitely help elevate the show and make it feel equal to Dynamite, even though Dynamite is the A show here.